Erin is joining us now from just outside the courthouse in Taunton, Massachusetts. Erin, this is a case that I've been reading about in the papers ever since Michelle Carter was charged. I think as a parent, this is almost every parent's nightmare, sort of a modern day nightmare of what can happen over, a few text messages.
Well, and I think what's been very eye-opening for me, I've been sitting in the courtroom, and the sheer number of these texts. And in this generation, we didn't have these kind of phones and texts when I was growing up. This is how these young people actually communicate. And so what this court has to decide is, did this fact that this young woman was, incessantly giving him these texts, was that really putting her in the truck with him? Did she have this virtual presence that was absolutely as powerful as if she had been in the truck?
Yeah, that is fascinating. I know Michelle Carter chose a single judge to decide her case instead of a jury. What do you make of that decision?
I think it was probably a smart decision. It's risky because instead of 12 people, with 12, you always have one person who just can't make the decision. You could have a hung jury. There's only one person making her and deciding her fate. But on the other hand, sitting in the courtroom, it's so emotional. It's just incredible when you read some of these texts, and there's even a moment that she tells a friend that he tried to get out of the truck and she told him to get back in. I think a jury would have dealt with this with more emotion. I think the judge will be more dispassionate and really study the law. And he is really one of the most ideal judges to do this. He is a former retired juvenile court judge, and he also, I think this is so interesting, taught high school English. He knows teenagers. So I think he can really analyze this better than anybody.
Yeah. We've seen similar cases, I suppose. We've seen cases in which maybe a child was bullied online through social media and maybe they commit suicide. Usually in those cases, there's a lot of people ganging up on a single individual. This is sort of a one-on-one situation, but legally, do you think this will be a groundbreaking case?
Well, I think it's already a groundbreaking case because now in Massachusetts, and I think you'll see it other states following suit, you can be indicted for a crime for what you said. Even if you were nowhere near the person, you could actually be indicted. So no matter what happens today in the courtroom, it really has changed everything. Maybe she will not be convicted today, but in another courtroom under the same kind of circumstances, another judge can make a different decision. So this case is already groundbreaking. I think we're going to see more cases like this charge. Now, admittedly, this case, you have to see the sheer number of texts is astounding. It's a rare case, and I do think if there was going to be a test case, this was probably one of the best cases to take.
So, Erin, before we let you go, you've been in the courtroom. I'm curious about maybe getting a little bit of color here, what it's like in the courtroom. What has Michelle's demeanor been like?
Well, that's been interesting to all of us. There has been very little emotion. When they're reading some of the texts that she sent, she just sits there stoically. So we have no idea what's going on through her mind. But I will tell you, Conrad Roy's family, particularly his mother intended to be in the courtroom. She wanted to be there for closing. She had to leave. So it's very interesting to see the differences in emotions between the families when both families are suffering greatly.
Indeed. Erin Moriarty, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
And you can see Erin's full report, Death by Text, tonight on a special edition of 48 Hours that starts at 8, 7 Central, only on CBS.